What do you do for a living today? No matter what you say, AI and intelligent robots will increasingly take over many tasks from humans. And they will do it better, faster, and cheaper. Yes, yours too. Many people will work much less, or not at all, in normal jobs. And they will earn less or even nothing. What will you live on then? What about your colleagues and employees? Will we all be just coaching the robots? How will we pay for our bills? And how will our companies survive when their customers don't have the money to buy their products and services? This is the key question for your financial future. Come with me on a journey of discovery into the future. We will take a look at 3 scenarios for the future of our life and the economy. If AI and robots work for us on a large scale, our future could be great. The highest quality of life, no stress at work, and more time for family, friends, and hobbies. However, it could also turn out quite differently. We could also wake up in a horror scenario. Because we have a huge and catastrophic flaw in our economic system that could lead to disaster in a world of AI and robotics. Correcting this flaw, this mistake, is the biggest challenge. What the flaw is and how you can fix it, you'll learn in this episode.
What does the future look like with AI and humanoid robots?
In recent months, I've published several episodes on the future with AI and humanoid robots. I'll provide the links in the description. And here's a brief summary of my messages. AI will surpass the cognitive skills of pretty much all humans in a few years. By now, most players in the AI world largely agree that AI that is more intelligent than all humans combined is only a few years away. Humanoid robots will quickly surpass the physical capabilities of all humans. They will be more agile than Olympic athletes and have the dexterity of the world's best surgeons. Right because they are modeled on the human body, their greatest advantage is their universal usability. Your robot makes your garden beautiful, then cooks your dinner, then irons the laundry, plays with the children, and tells them very personal bedtime stories. Without any vacations, without sick leave, bad days, and without being distracted. Humanoid robots are becoming superhumanly intelligent thanks to AI brains. They can think, they can talk with us, they can learn and be creative. This is no longer science fiction. In a year or two, we will see thousands of them in factories and in logistics. Later, many millions and even billions, and even in our homes. The cost of labor for humanoid robots will be extremely low. I've shown this cost per working hour in detail in the latest episode, also linked in the description. Initially, it's going to be around $14 and $10, and in the medium to long term, less than $5 per hour. And they will work without complaining about working hours, calling the union about work-life balance, or seeing a therapist to address low self-esteem. This means that companies will have no choice but to use humanoid robots in the face of competition. AI makes work more efficient and, above all, more productive. So quality of life and prosperity will increase significantly, at least potentially. Intelligent robots will first solve the global labor shortage. It's likely that in many developed countries, the labor shortage will simply disappear. Due to AI and intelligent robots, a great many people will work less or not at all. This time, new jobs and tasks will not emerge as quickly as it used to be in the past to make up for the losses of jobs. Because AI is developing so rapidly, because of new jobs and tasks will be created, including the potential of AI. Most people will earn significantly less or no income at all from traditional jobs. If you no longer earn money, you cannot buy food or pay your bills. This is a fatal downward spiral.
What happens to income in an AI and robotics economy?
What are the consequences of AI and robotics in today's system if we do not change it? You get your own income from one or more of the following sources. It's either work, which means a salary as an employee, or a fee as a self-employed person. In the medium to long term, up to 80% of the current tasks of working people will be eliminated. For self-employed, this number is somewhat lower because many of them can find and develop new fields of work and income more easily than employees with their company. Some workers will have higher incomes than today for work that requires particularly human qualifications. This includes the best strategically working software developers, the best consultants, or the best leaders. In the past, we have always created new jobs and professions. Professions such as weavers, coachmen, or stenotypists have disappeared. And yet, we have not seen mass unemployment because we developed new industries, new professions, and new tasks. This time too, there will be new jobs and tasks for people, both in the field of AI and robotics and outside of it. But this time, it won't be the case that virtually as many new jobs and tasks will be created just as quickly as old ones are lost. This time, there are three major differences. The change brought about by AI and robotics is so rapid, so fast, and so radical that the demand for human labor is declining much faster than new jobs are created. The new jobs and tasks are designed from the outset, so the humans have to do as little as possible. Most people cannot develop their skills as quickly as demands on human jobs are increasing. Unfortunately, we cannot simply install an upgrade for the time being. Only the robots can do that. This is what makes this change different from previous technological revolutions. And that's what makes it so dangerous despite all the advantages. Second source of income, entrepreneurship. Income from running a business. When the income of the population drops so sharply, people can buy less. This leads to a drastic slump in sales and thus in corporate earnings. They make huge losses and go bankrupt in droves. Prices will also rise for the particularly sophisticated services provided by companies when they require high human qualifications. And there will be new business areas, directly in the field of AI and robotics and outside of it. In the future, however, virtually every business area will be driven by AI and robotics. Third, ownership of productive assets. Income from investments, capital gains on company shares, income from rent and licenses. Those who have productive assets also depend on buying customers and paying tenants, leaseholders, and licensees. But if their income collapses, such revenues also drop dramatically. Shares in companies, whether held directly or through stocks, lose a great deal of their value. This impacts private retirement savings too. Real estate also loses a great deal of its value if rent can no longer be paid. Selling them will result in catastrophic losses. The fourth source of income is ownership of unproductive assets, which is income from capital gains on commodities, art, or crypto tokens. Interest on deposits also belongs to that, or loans granted. I see money as unproductive asset because interest at best only just compensates for inflation. Unproductive assets also lose value when the demand falls sharply. Values of commodities, art, and presumably cryptocurrencies also collapse. It is different with monetary assets, since prices will fall sharply in such a situation. Holding cash then turns into a positive. Number 5 is unearned income, which is pensions, alimonies, transfer payments such as basic income or support for housing. The state needs to have the funds from taxes to pay for unearned income. Then we have 6, the transfer services, also kind of an income. These are like the free services such as schools, public and public universities. The unearned incomes can only be paid and the services can only be provided if the state has sufficient income from taxes. In many countries, pensions are paid from the contributions of people still working. Their incomes would collapse, so payments to the pension fund would also collapse. The state lacks the tax revenue then to top up the shortfall from tax revenue. The state also lacks the money then for social payments such as a citizen's income, housing benefits or child benefits. And of course, those who are obliged to pay alimonies can pay significantly less or nothing at all. Number 7 is the price effect. This is of course not a source of income, but the price level determines the purchasing power of your income, which is how much you can buy with it. This is the only strongly positive factor here. When most of the income of customers collapses, they buy less. Then there is an oversupply of products and services. Prices fall. This is economic deflation. And in addition, there is technological deflation. Products and services created by AI and robots will be significantly cheaper because the majority of personnel costs in all products and services are eliminated. What's more, AI and robots can be scaled very easily, just as we have seen it for a long time with computers, monitors, solar cells or batteries. Then everything could cost only a fraction of today's prices. This moderates the loss of income, but not entirely.
How could this turn out for the economy and society?
Let's imagine 3 scenarios for the next 10 to 20 years. The horror scenario. The state and the businesses, they have done practically nothing. At least nothing effective. Society experienced an economic catastrophe. The crisis scenario. The state and the businesses were able to prevent the horror scenario, however, a severe decline was unavoidable. Many nations were too slow and too divided to act consistently and rapidly. They tried to muddle through, but in doing so they fell behind and their citizens became significantly poorer. 3. The abundance scenario. The state and the businesses intelligently seized the opportunities that we have and massively improved the quality of life for all citizens.
The horror scenario.
We will experience this scenario if we do not change anything, if we don't rethink work and income to deal with the effects of AI and robotics. This is what happens in the horror scenario. Incomes and wealth fall massively. Declining prices don't make up for that. The state collects drastically fewer taxes. Within a few years, mass poverty arises on a scale not seen for a long time. Governments initially tried to conceal the situation with expensive measures, making the crisis even worse. Everyone fights against each other. Extremism and conspiracy theories become widespread. People find scapegoats and fight them. We fall back into a state of nature, as Thomas Hobbes called it. People elect radical parties into parliamentary majorities, or they start an outright violent revolution. Totalitarian regimes and strong leaders seize power, in some countries from the left, in others from the right. They nationalize virtually everything. Strong leaders decide what happens. Everything is streamlined. Products and services are rationed. The government decides what companies have to produce and at what price. And as always, some ethnic or political group is blamed for the disaster and is fought against politically and privately. Whether right-wing or left-wing extremism, communism or even fascism, freedom dies in any case. What do you feel about this scenario? Frightening, isn't it? Do you think it's possible that it will come to that? Answer in the comments. Can this horror scenario really happen? It is possible, and it is also plausible. If we are not future intelligent, but rather future dumb and irrational, And if we take action too little and too late, the horror scenario will not happen overnight. But if it happens, it will do so faster than any of us would like. There are historical precedents. At the beginning of the 19th century, textile workers, the so-called Luddites, they tried to stop industrialization and the abolition of their jobs by storming the factories and destroying the looms, the knitting, and the spinning machines. This led to a series of revolutions in Europe, starting in March in 1848, in France, in Germany, Italy, and other places. These were very painful and very dangerous decades. Do I think that the horror scenario will happen? Not necessarily. Most states will do something, but probably too little, too late. Because governments, like all people, behave very short-sightedly and often stupidly about the future. Why don't we just stop AI and robots? Well, technological change has never been permanently stopped. In the 1980s, a German party in the parliament refused to use computers in their parliamentary offices because they considered them to be an imperialist tool for exploitation. No, we will not be able to stop the very rapid development and spread of AI and intelligent robots and their effects, simply because their benefits are so great and their costs are so low. And even if we try to coordinate it worldwide to stop it, we will not be able to persuade the Chinese to stop their AI and their robots, because they want economic growth and power, and they have to cope with their inevitably shrinking population. We cannot stop the change, and it would be rather harmful for us if we tried, because, as I said, in the long run, we will live in abundance thanks to AI and robots.
The crisis scenario.
The crisis scenario is largely self-explanatory. It is harsh, but not quite as bad as the horror scenario. However, it is far from the abundance scenario.
The abundance scenario.
And the abundance scenario describes a massive increase in the quality of life for all people. And we can make it come true if we correct the fatal flaw in our economic system. What is the flaw? Glad you're asking. It lies in the fact that our entire economy, worldwide, is organized in such a way that over 90% of people sell their intellectual and physical labor as employees in order to earn an income. They are paid for a set amount of time, for the most part. The owners of companies, on the other hand, can replace those workers, can replace their work with AI and robots. They even have to, because of the competitors in China and elsewhere. They are doing the same. This way they can and they will benefit from higher productivity. However, employed people do not have that option. They would only have it if they were not paid for their time, but paid according to their productivity, also when using AI and robotics. Or even better, if they became entrepreneurs or shareholders themselves. If an economy dominated by AI and humanoid robots and other robots is to bring a better quality of life and greater prosperity for everyone, then we must ensure that everyone benefits from the advantages in efficiency and productivity. And we can do that by making as many people as possible become owners of productive assets. We'll look at how exactly we can do that in part 2 in the next episode. The high efficiency and productivity of AI and robots drastically reduces the cost of living. A kilometer in a robotaxi for 20 cents will be cheaper than a bus or the train, and a premium coffee at Starbucks will cost just 50 cents. The prices of each and every product and service, they consist largely of the salaries and the wages of the people who worked on them. Most of that would be eliminated because AI and robots work faster, cheaper, and better than humans. AI and robots will not only make us more efficient, but also far more productive. Productivity means that we can create much more value for people with the available resources that we have and the time. History is evidence for this. Almost all of us have a quality of life today that was unimaginable for most people just 100 years ago. The potential for more productivity is much greater than the potential for more efficiency within today's system. The power of innovation will be greatly enhanced by AI, and it will help us solve the world's most pressing problems. We will find cures and treatments for all types of cancer and many other diseases way faster and earlier. We will develop new materials. Google's AI DeepMind developed 380,000 new materials in just a few weeks. Without AI, it would have taken us several hundred years. We will develop new energy systems, make difficult sources such as geothermal easier to use. And we will significantly increase the efficiency of solar cells again. Energy will become much more affordable and sustainable. We might even find effective ways to stop and reverse human impact on the climate. Countless new professions, jobs, and business areas will emerge from AI and robotics. They will automatically process tasks that we do today, but the new tasks are for people, and they will primarily be in direct service to people. We will be able to take much better care of each other. The economy and our society will be much more human than we think. If we manage to make the transition from today's economic system to a new, future intelligent one, to a robust, to a resilient one, people worldwide will live in good health and abundance. When people live in abundance, we also have the chance to live in lasting peace, because wars and conflicts are virtually always waged out of greed and for scarce resources. We have the historic opportunity to create a life of prosperity and good health for all people, just like the super rich live today. And we can do it without harming the biosphere or other people. Quality of life is the only thing that may continue to grow forever, without consuming and depleting our resources, without damaging the environment, without stressing us out. AI and robots will bring us even closer to a fully circular economy, just like nature is circular. Useful innovation and productivity are the most important factors for the prosperity of a person, of a company, and a state. AI and robotics are designed to increase just that. In the very long term, every nation and society will ultimately live in an abundant scenario. That is the beautiful and the positive thing about it. But based on all our experience with the not very future-oriented behavior of many governments, and yes, also of us voters, only some of the states will manage to protect their citizens from the valley of tears on the way to the abundant scenario.
The conclusion.
Now what? I hope I've been able to show how big the changes are that are ahead of us. This is not science fiction, I'm saying it again. It has already begun. However, it may well be that we will experience all three of those scenarios in succession. The crisis scenario, and then the horror scenario, or first the horror and then the crisis scenario, and finally the abundant scenario, when governments, businesses, and citizens really act consistently and in a future intelligent way. Everyone will be affected. You will too. Think about what you can do today to prepare for these changes and to even benefit from them. We will think about this together in later episodes. The prospect of the abundant scenario is tangible and it's real. If, yes, if, we make it possible for everyone to benefit from AI and robots. To do that, we will have to change our economic system. No, not towards socialism, The right economic system for the future will not be characterized by scarcity, restriction, and redistribution. We will be growing the cake. It's quite the opposite. It will be a system with the greatest conceivable freedom and quality of life. We will think this through together in the second part, which you can find here. And the entire playlist on AI and robotics is here. Please share this episode with your friends and relatives. Far too few people, and even less the politicians and business leaders, are really aware of this huge challenge and opportunity. Have a bright future.